Hey YouTube, Kier Twig here, bringing you all an update to my Gem Knight Yu-Gi-Oh deck profile for February 2020. A lot of you have been requesting an update to the Gem Knight deck, and I figured it's been actually a year since the last Gem Knight update, and with Brilliant Fusion now on the ban list, definitely took a hit for the deck, but I'd say the deck is still very fun and very playable with all the different combos we have for it, with you being able to fusion summon a bunch of different monsters, and I think with Master Rule just around the corner in April, it's going to make the deck all that much better, because then you won't have to be reliant on the extra monster zone for your link monsters to summon out, and then you'll just be able to fully focus on fusion monsters for all the plays you can do with the deck. I might even focus on another version during Master Rule when it comes out that fully focuses on just the fusion monsters and maybe one or two of the Gem Knight link monster, just for a little more added support. But let's go ahead and get started with the deck profile. So to start off, for the monsters, for the normal monsters, I'm going for the 3 Gem Knight Lapis as one of the playsets of the normal monsters I run in the deck. With Gem Knight Lapis, it just helps for your overall play because it's one of the needed cards for your Gem Knight Lady Lapis Lazuli, which definitely does help just by burn damage against your opponent for how the special summon monsters you have on the field, needing a Gem Knight monster and Gem Knight Lapis to make it. And it's very easy to summon out Gem Knight Lapis with us running Rescue Rabbit in the deck, and then also Unexpected Die. You can easily get this card out onto the field to use for the fusion summon requirement. For the other normal monster, I decided to go with Gem Knight Tourmaline. I know some people like to run Gem Knight Garnet, but in the end it just comes down to the player preference of what fusions you want to go for as well. They're both normal monsters. Tourmaline, you have the option to go for Prismora and Topaz, and then for Garnet, you have the option to go for Ruby and Citrine. Both, I would say, with Ruby, it's more of an attack-based play kind of deck, and Tourmaline, more of a combo-based one with the destruction effect of Prismora, and then the multiple attacks for Topaz. So just player preference if you wanted to run either in this spot. You can even go for the Sapphire spot for this one using Aquamarine, and then also, I believe, Amethyst, the other fusion monster. But plenty of options to run for that final spot. But like I said, I stuck with Tourmaline, just prefer the overall stats of Tourmaline. And once again, just the preferred fusions to run in the deck also. And then for some of the added other Gem Knight monsters, I run 3 Gem Knight Lazuli, probably one of the best ones in the deck, just for its recycle consistency. If this card is sent to the graveyard by a card effect, you can target one normal monster in your graveyard, add that target to your hand, so you're able to recycle all the other normal monsters we run in the deck with this card when you use it, let's say, for a fusion play. So if you have the Gem Knight Lazuli and the Tourmaline in your hand, and you use Gem Knight Fusion to fuse both of them off for your fusion monster, you'll then be able to get your resource back to your hand, which is the Tourmaline, and then also be able to banish the Lazuli from your graveyard to add the Gem Knight Fusion back to your hand with its recycle capabilities, which we'll get to when we go over the spell cards. And then also for the Gem Knight monsters, probably one of my favorites, just for the special summon power this card has, is 3 Gem Knight Obsidians. If this card is sent from the hand to your graveyard, you can target one level 4 or lower normal monster in your graveyard and special summon that target. So just with this card's play, it's not as, versatile as Lazuli, since Lazuli has to be sent to the graveyard by a card effect. Obsidian has to be from your hand, so just remember that with this card, but you'll still have plenty of options in the same scenario. Let's say you have Lapis and Obsidian in your hand, and you use Gem Knight Fusion, so you fuse these two off, get your fusion monster out, and then you can use Obsidian to special summon the Lapis from the graveyard back onto the field, so it's an additional monster special summon to the field if you use cards like Gem Knight Lady Lapis Lazuli for that additional special summon, and then also another play which we'll get to when I go over with Lady Brilliant Diamond. And that is it for the Gem Knight monsters. I just really like the overall number of these. They all work very, very well together, number-wise, just for what you were able to do with the deck. For some other additional monsters, for search power, I run 3 Gem Armadillo. I run this when this card is normal summon. You can add 1 Gem Knight monster from your deck to your hand. So depending on what I have, if I have, like, let's say, Obsidian in my hand, I can search out for a normal monster, and vice versa. If I have the normal monster, I can search out for Obsidian. Gem Armadillo just really helps for those plays, and also with our Link monster just needing 2 Gem monsters, you can also use Gem Armadillo for the Link summon of your Gem Knight Phantom Court, since you don't need Gem Knight monsters to make it, just Gem monsters. So Gem Armadillo, it's also my preferred one, aside from Gem Turtle, because with Phantom Courts you can search out Gem Knight Fusion, and with Gem Turtle you have to rely on the flip summon. Gem Armadillo is just that normal summon, which is a lot easier. And I also run 2 Crystal Rose. This card makes so much setup for the deck. Once per turn, you can send 1 Gem Knight or Melodious monster from your hand or deck to the graveyard. If you do, this card's name becomes the set monster's name until the end of phase. So it sets up Lazuli, just more Gem Knight monsters in the graveyard as well. And an easy special summon effect if it's in your graveyard by banishing a fusion monster, which then you can easily recycle those fusion monsters with Phantom Quartz as well. 2 of them, though, for that setup. I'll get to that when I go over the spells as well. And for the normal monsters, I already spoke it before, but the 3 Rescue Rabbit just helps for more special summon power in the deck, so relying on this definitely does come in handy. Just to get the 2 out in the field can be the Phantom Quartz play, then having them set up in the graveyard goes for the Fusion play after I link summon into the Phantom Quartz. So opening up the Rescue Rabbit, as long as I have my numbers okay, that makes for the play I want to go for most of the time. Able to search out my Fusion play and then go from there also. And most of the time I like to go for Lapis Lazuli because then I can set up more using her own effect to send to the graveyard, and I can send a Lazuli, recycle, and then go from there. And also, one of my other boss monsters is Block Dragon, which I also run 3 of. You can easily special summon this card. It cannot be normal summon or set. It must be special summoned from your hand or graveyard by banishing 3 earth monsters from your hand and or graveyard, and cannot be special summoned by other ways. And if this card is sent from the field to the graveyard, you can add up to 3 rock-type monsters from your deck whose total levels equal level 8. So with the rock options we have in the deck being, Obsidian, Lazuli, Armadillo, you can easily, when this card is sent to the graveyard, search an Armadillo, Obsidian, and Lazuli just from those 3 cards and have plenty of resources. You also have the Lapis option if you already have Obsidian or if you just need a normal monster to go for. So plenty of searches with Block Dragon, and then just an easy special summon, and it also protects your rock monsters on the field from being destroyed by card effects, which we run plenty of rock monsters in the extra deck as well. And that is it for the monsters. Pretty good high monster count, but it all works very, very well together. The one thing that is important to remember, you just need to get off your fusion search, or at least open up with a Gem Knight Fusion for your plays, because this is your main fusion spell card to go with. You send fusion material monsters that are listed by a fusion card from your hand or side of the field to the graveyard, and special summon 1 Gem Knight Fusion monster from your extra deck. This special summon is treated as a fusion summon, and if this card is in the graveyard, you can remove from play 1 Gem Knight monster in your graveyard to add this card to your hand. So the biggest thing I think is funny when I go up against, let's say, 6 Sams, for example, and they negate this card with Shien, you can easily just banish a Gem Knight, add back to your hand, and then activate it again. So a lot of people forget that Gem Knight Fusion is recyclable, so remember that with this card. Just, if it gets negated, as long as it's not banished, you'll be able to add it back to your hand and reuse, or if the fusion is successful and you have more fusions to go for it, you'll be able to just recycle it again by adding it back to your hand. That's why you only really need to open up the 1 to do this play. I think it's definitely one of the best fusion spells we have out there, just for its consistency and being able to recycle so well also. And for more easy special summoning of the normal monsters, I run 3 Unexpected Die. This one just helps to special summon out cards like Lapis to the field or Tourmaline, depending on which one you need, giving you 1 more resource on the field before you even normal summon. If you have all the different normal monsters in your deck still, you can use Unexpected Die to special summon the 1 and then use Rescue Rabbit to get the other 2 out, having the 3 cards on the field to use, and then not have to worry about drawing any of the normal monsters either. And I also run, just for draw consistency, 3 Pot of Desires. I don't really like to run Pot of Desires too often, but I find it really does help in this deck for the overall resource, because you can sift through the deck very quickly with a bunch of other cards, and then just that +2 draw power with this one definitely does help. If you are not a fan of Pot of Desires and you don't want to run this card in the deck, you could try putting in the additional normal monster option. Like I said, I thought of Garnet, if you wanted to run Tourmaline and Garnet, just to have more Rescue Rabbit options to special summon out with this card. That's a thought to go for. Or you can even try Foolish Burial Goods. I thought maybe 2 Foolish Burial Goods and 1 Upstart Goblin as another spot for this, just because Foolish Burial Goods can set up Gem Knight Fusion in the graveyard, which then if you have a Gem Knight monster in the graveyard, you can easily recycle and add it back to your hand by banishing a Gem Knight monster. It's all up to you. If you don't want to run Desires, you have these options available for you for the 3 Garnet play, or the 2 Foolish Burial Goods and the 1 Upstart Goblin. And now for some of the one-ofs in the deck, I run 1 Scapegoat. Now this one really helps. I might not run it as much when Master Rule comes around and you're able to fusion something a lot more easier, but this one helps with the basically the Link monster play, and I'll show that when we get to the extra deck. Just being able to get more arrows set up so you can summon out more fusion monsters to the field just by setting this card and then activating it at the end of your opponent's turn to get your Scapegoats to use. It only really works though if you have a clear board, so the earlier I open up in the game, the better. 1 Foolish Burial. This is to help set up Block Dragon quicker if I haven't opened it up in my hand, since you can special summon it from the graveyard as well. Card Destruction. You can set up Gem Knight monsters, Gem Knight Fusion, then draw a whole new hand of cards and still have access to your graveyard to use, which is why I like to run this card in the deck. 1 Reasoning, plenty of different level monsters, so you can easily set up the graveyard some more. Even if they guess the right number and they send Block Dragon to the graveyard, you have that special summon option with this card also. And 1 Monster Reborn, just for special summoning resources back onto the field after you summon them out, using maybe some of your fusion plays as well. And to finish off the main deck, I don't run any traps, I just field spells, and the fact that you can make some pretty big boss monsters in the deck is enough. So 3 Call by the Grave, just to stop your opponent's hand traps. Ash Blossom, the Lady Lapis Lazuli, is a big part that hurts the deck, so you want to make sure you can make sure this effect goes off. So Call by the Grave helps to stop that in its tracks. And that is it for the main deck. When I move on to the extra deck, I run 1 Gem Knight Master Diamond. This card is at 1 on the ban list just because of its easy consistency to burn away at your opponent's life points. After you use Lady Lapis Lazuli, then you can banish it with Master Diamond's effect and then just reuse the effect from there. So definitely a scary card to go for. One of my favorites is Gem Knight Lady Brilliant Diamond, just for the fact that you can tribute another Gem Knight to special summon 1 from your extra deck out onto the field. Gem Knight Seraphinite, you can use the Light Monster, which is your Crystal Rose in the deck for this fusion play, giving you an additional normal summon, especially if cards like Gem Armadillo is a big help in the deck as well. For some of the rock monsters, 1 Gem Knight Zirconia, Block Dragon, especially for the fusion play when you special summon out Block Dragon and you're able to fuse with it, and another Gem Knight to make Zirconia and then get the search for Block Dragon to just keep on giving you resources. And I run 2 Gem Knight Lady Lapis Lazuli. This card is your main go-to card for the burn damage you can do to your opponent. Dwindling them away with more special summon monsters out on the field, the more burn damage they'll take, so this one definitely does help in that sense for sure. And I also run the 1 Gem Knight Prismora and the 1 Gem Knight Topaz. This is for my choice of running Tourmaline. Like I said, if you run Garnet, you can try putting in Gem Knight Ruby and Gem Knight Citrine for these 2 spots. But just the destruction effect Prismora has and the multiple attacks like Topaz definitely does help in those specific situations also. And now for the Link monsters, I run 2 Gem Knight Phantom Quartz. This card just helps for the overall play of being able to add a Gem Knight card. It could be Gem Knight Fusion or a monster, depending on what you need for your hand. And then just the recycle effects of all your banished or cards in your graveyard back into the deck to fusion summon with the arrows. Like I said, when Master Rule comes out, I'll still probably run this Link monster with all the other different fusion options still, just because it has such great setup for the deck. And then for some of the generic Link monsters, I run 1 Link Spider. You do run plenty of normal monsters, so if you need to go for a Link 2 early on, just having these 2 in your hand, you can normal summon the Lapis, go into Link Spider, and then special summon out Tourmaline onto the field, giving you your play right there for your easy special summon of monsters on the field to go into. And I also run 1 Mrs. Radiant and 1 Proxy Dragon. These are for the Scapegoat play. If you have the Scapegoat in your hand to use at the end of the turn, you're getting your 4 tokens. You can use 2 of the tokens to special summon out the Mrs. Radiant, and then the final 2 to summon out Proxy Dragon. So you have the 1 arrow from the Mrs. Radiant for a fusion play, and the other 2 for Proxy Dragon, giving you 3 extra deck spots with 2 special summon monsters out on the field as well. So if you open up with Lapis Lazuli as well, it's insane amount of burn damage you'll be doing to your opponent out on the field. And lastly, the 1 Curious, the Lightsworn Dominion. You just need 3 monsters with the same attribute, but different types, which you can easily do with cards like Link Spider, and then 1 of the rock monsters for the Gem Knights, and then 1 more additional monster that you summon out, just having the same attributes. So you can even use cards like Tourmaline, since it has to have a tribute in different types. Being a Thunder type comes in with that option. Then just the send power this card have to set up the graveyard some more is a big help for sure. And then I only run 1 Exceed monster, and that is Gallic Granite, for the fact that it searches rock monsters, which is a big part of the deck, whether it be Block Dragon or even, a good amount of just anything search-wise. Crystal Rose, Gem Armadillo, you name it. It's a big help. And we have plenty of level 4 monsters around the deck as well, including Gem Armadillo, or even just for the Rescue Rabbit play of 2 Tourmalines into this card also. But that is it for the deck profile. I hope you all enjoyed. Gem Knights are one of my favorite decks, so definitely give them a try if you're a fan of Fusion, because you definitely will be Fusion summoning a lot with this deck. And until next time, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, and Kira Twig out.